Welcome to On Point by Target River, the podcast where strategy meets execution with a little fun. I'm your host, Brian, and each episode will break down what actually works in marketing, sales, and growth so you can stay sharp, focused, and always on point. Let's dive in. Have you ever heard the phrases, never trust a ship to a single anchor, or don't test the depths of a river with both feet? Or how about hedge your bets? Or the one that got me thinking on this topic was putting all of your eggs in one basket. These are all analogies that capture that same idea about diversifying yourself to hedge or protect yourself against risks and creating backups or avoiding a single point of failure, like the analogy of never trust a ship to a single anchor, right? If that anchor fails, the ship's going to drift away. I love that one about testing the depths of a river with both feet. And at first, when I thought of it, I was like, wait a second, is that necessarily a bad deal? But if you jumped right in, you don't know, especially if it's murky water, whether you're going into 1 foot or 22 feet of depth. So I guess that does make sense to maybe not test it with both feet at the same time. As I've thought about this, and the reason I was thinking about this is how often do we do that? When we are making decisions about things in our businesses, our organizations, maybe even our personal lives, when we just dive right in, when we don't diversify or we don't segment things out and we just go all in, as it says, with our eggs in one basket. I play the game of golf. I enjoy it. Some days I'm good. Some days I wonder if I've ever played before. And some days that happens in the same round. But one of the things that I love is there is so much challenge and diversity in what's thrown at you. The elevation of the course, sand traps, water hazards, how wide or narrow the fairways are, trees, bushes, other natural things that are there that can cause disruption or cause you to alter your shot, the distance of the holes, the slope, so many things go into a factor. And whoever invented the game of golf, I think, and those that have helped build upon it, have helped us golfers by giving us diversity, meaning in the different clubs that we have for the different conditions that we are situated or that we find ourselves in. So a couple days ago, I played in a golf tournament in Utah, and it was all sorts of craziness going on. When we teed off, it was about 39 degrees Fahrenheit, and according to our phones, had the feels like 19 degrees. So it was very cold, which impacts the flight of your ball. It rained off and on during the round, and the winds were upwards of 30 to 40 miles an hour. So it took a course that was already a challenging course with some narrow fairways, lots of water hazards, sand traps, elevation changes, and added to it. So we had to really think a lot harder about what our club choice was. If we tried to play that round with just a single club, such as our, 7-iron or something, you could do it, but it would take you a lot longer and it would be much more challenging because some of those holes that were very long, if you've ever played golf and you were using your 7-iron, can you imagine playing a 7-iron only on a par 5, 600-yard hole with a 30 to 40 mile an hour headwind at you? Take you a lot of extra strokes versus if you were at least able to use maybe your driver with the ball teed lower, or maybe your 3-wood to help get down that fairway. Now, I wish our round had gone better, but we were playing a scramble. We actually did okay. We shot 6 under that day. But as I think back to that day, we played so many different shots than we normally would. For instance, myself, there were many holes where there was a par 4 in particular I think of that was about 300 yards. And if it was a straight ahead par 4 with that distance, I would have hit driver all day long. But this was one where you had water all up the entire left side, a dog leg left, and sand traps on the right side, and a very narrow throat of a fairway coming up to the green. So logically, thankfully I followed that logic. I didn't use my driver and took out my utility wood and piped one down about 230 yards right in the middle of the fairway, thankfully. But I had the ability to do that because I had another club to choose from. As we think about the other holes that we're found ourselves in some cases, you're near the green and you have 20 yards to the pin. You might hit one shot or one club if you have no sand trap between you and the pin. But if you've got to carry a sand trap, you're going to have to take a very different angle or different approach. So we do the same thing when it comes to diversifying and choice and selection in our marketing campaigns. How many of you have heard the term multi-channel or omnichannel marketing? What that simply means is this concept of, as the phrase goes, not putting all your eggs in one basket. So if we did that approach with marketing, putting all our eggs in one basket would be maybe only doing email to market ourselves. And maybe there are certain industries that I haven't thought of at this moment where that strictly by itself would be the sole most effective and only marketing campaign or marketing tactic you could use. Maybe that is true. I just haven't thought of one yet. But in most cases, if we have the ability to reach people multiple ways, multiple times, the likelihood of our success is going to be significantly greater. And that's where this concept of multi-channel or omni-channel comes into play. So we were looking at this the other day for a client, and they are a company that provides different solutions to dentists, okay? And the ideal perfect candidate to see the ad is not an assistant at the dental practice, not the receptionist, not the dental hygienist, but the dentist themselves, okay? So you'd say, well, probably during their days, they're pretty busy. And if you've ever, at least when I go to my dentist, it seems like they've got a full schedule all day long. So the odds of us finding them on an Instagram feed or in their email or something like that during the course of the day is probably slim. But like many of us, they have their off hours and their times when they're relaxing, and they do various things. Maybe they watch some connected television where they're streaming their favorite show or movie on a platform such as Amazon Prime or Netflix or something like that. Maybe they go onto LinkedIn or TikTok or Facebook or Instagram or check their mail or check their email or go onto a website or check the latest sports scores on a sporting app such as ESPN. My point being is, even though that's a unique niche audience, they have different places that they consume content for information, news, updates, as well as entertainment or relaxation. So imagine an omni-channel approach where you use those tactics to reach specifically that audience. So kind of like I talked about in that last episode, where we talked about trimming our audience down to the narrowed group. Let's say we've already done that. And now we're looking at choosing the right ways to get them. Well, that's the power that you can do when you have the right data and you have the right focus on who you want to reach. It makes it 10x easier to choose which marketing tactic should be a part of your omni-channel campaign. Okay. So simply put here, choose the tactics that allow you to reach your specific audience and don't choose the ones that don't allow you to narrow it down. Because the more you get away from your target audience, the less likely you're going to succeed. Now, why multiple tactics? If you heard from me, hey, there's a great restaurant, I think you should try it out. Would you believe it? Would you go try it out? If you never met me before, the likelihood is probably a lot less than if you do know me. Maybe you would take up my recommendation. Now, what if you heard from 3 or 4 different people you know about this restaurant and how great it is? Wouldn't the likelihood of you believing us that it's really good and the likelihood that you'll go significantly increase because you heard it from multiple sources? Well, that's that concept or the power behind an omni-channel or multi-channel approach. Hearing a message from multiple sources, number one, increases your ability to remember it, but more importantly, increases your belief or trust in what it is you're hearing. So if you think about your business, your organization, your school, your nonprofit, whatever you're a part of, the more ways you can reach that specific audience, the more likely they're going to recall your info and trust your information, and then take that next action step, as we often call it, to do what you'd like them to do. to learn more about your business, to donate to your nonprofit, to enroll a child in your school, or whatever that outcome might be. Again, it goes back to choosing the tactics that allow you to reach the audience. So in my example with this dental focus, we have access to a database of over 200,000 dentists in America, okay? Their name, their phone number, their email address, their physical address, in many cases, their cell phone numbers, okay? So with that in hand, we've got some powerful things that we can do to specifically reach those people through different channels. So yes, because we have their email address, we could email them, and maybe we would. We have their physical address, so we could send a direct mail piece to them. But because we have all this valuable information, we can go and actually find these individuals on different platforms where they have an account. So let's say a certain percentage of them have a LinkedIn account. Well, we can match that and then be able to reach them through LinkedIn messaging. Maybe some of them have a Facebook account set up that's affiliated with that email address or that phone number. Not all will, but some will. How about Instagram, WhatsApp, Messenger, Google, Microsoft? The list goes on. Netflix, Paramount, Prime Video. So many different places where people or individuals have used their name, their physical address, their email address, their phone number, or combination thereof to create those accounts. We're able to load that data, valuable data up, match those individuals, and then serve ads to those people through those different channels. So now, whichever companies would love to sell a product to a dentist, through our data, we'll be able to specifically reach dentists, not reach other people. So again, back to that concept of trimming the excess, the audience we don't want to reach, but reach them multiple ways. So if you had this power and this ability and could get a message to people different ways, what do you think is going to happen with the results? Well, number one, whatever brand it is that's targeting this group of individuals, the brand recall is going to go through the roof. First of all, the brand awareness, of course, but then the recall of it. Secondly, the ability to take those dentists on a journey from awareness to interest in the product or service that's being offered to them, to a desire to learn more, and then ultimately to take action and purchase that product or service, just goes through the roof. But it goes back to that omnichannel concept, okay? So again, remember this, and it's that same analogy that I mentioned when it comes to reviews. The more sources that you hear something from, the more you're going to remember it, the more you're going to believe in it. Thanks for listening to On Point by Target River. If you're ready to grow your organization with real strategy that generates meaningful results, visit targetriver.com and connect with our team today. Stay focused, stay winning, and stay on point. We'll see you next time.